welcome to Monday Night Politics, sponsored by the Dallas Examiner. My name is Christy Thomas, and I'm the coordinator for tonight's event. Tonight, I want to give the candidates and the audience a few housekeeping guidelines to ensure that the forum moves smoothly, so we can provide a space that is safe and conducive to learn about each candidate and their platform. I will start with the candidates. Candidates, you will have 2 minutes for your opening statement and 1 minute for your closing statement. 2 minutes to answer questions from the moderator and the audience. Our guest timekeeper tonight is Mr. Anthony Marshall. He will provide a placard to inform you of the time you have left to answer questions given. Candidates, this time should not be spent talking about how you will, this time should be spent talking about how you will implement your plan and your goal if you are elected to this seat. Your time should not be spent talking about your opponent, their shortfalls, or issues. Please remain respectful throughout the forum and respect the space that has been donated to us for the purpose of educating our community on political candidates. Now to the audience. We're so thankful for your presence tonight. We ask that you formulate your question where it pertains to all candidates. You will be allowed 1 minute to ask a question, and only one question can be asked to allow time for other audience members to ask a question. Again, please be respectful to prevent any interruptions that could cause us to run out of time and not hear from each candidate listed to speak tonight. Any of the audience members should line up to the podium, and they will be provided a microphone so everyone can hear the question you are asking the candidate. I want to thank you in advance for your cooperation and for your interest in being more informed about candidates running for office in your community. The Dallas Examiner has been presenting Monday Night Politics, Meet the Candidate, for over 17 years prior to major elections. I want to stress that all candidates are invited through email invitation. These candidates are pulled from the official ballot provided by the state. The Dallas Examiner does not endorse candidates. We could not do this alone. Our sponsors are nonprofit organizations, too many to name, All Black sororities and fraternities, the NAACP chapter, the Links, and the African American Museum. Our moderator tonight is Eric Wilson. He is no stranger to our political climate. His career in politics started when he was elected to the Dallas City Council in 2015, where he represented District 8. His tenure on the council included serving as Deputy Mayor Pro Tem. Wilson's educational background includes a bachelor's degree in finance from the University of Texas at Arlington and an MBA from Aberdeen University. He remains committed to working in his community and preserving the diverse landscape in his community and of District 8 where he still resides. Please help me welcome him to Monday Night Politics. Lastly, please silence your phones, and video recording is prohibited for this event. On behalf of Molly Bell and the Dallas Examiner, we would like to thank you again for attending Monday Night Politics.
Good evening, everyone. All right. Got this crowd here. People in the back. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. All right. Glad to see you here. Glad that you're here tonight at Monday Night Politics. As we are about to begin, just want to reiterate the importance of why we do what we do and why it's important. How many of you all know that the state of Texas handed over its entire voter registration roll to the Justice Department? Didn't know, now you know. The idea, and I encourage you between now and the time for early voting to continue to check your voter registration. The idea that they will contest, much like what we had a couple years ago when we had a big outbreak in Texas where they were contesting votes, knocking people off the rolls, they're at people. So please tell your loved ones, tell your friends, Please continue to check your voter registration all the way up until the time of voting. They have 45 days to contest it. After that, it will remove you from the roll. So just want to throw it out there before we begin. All right. So let's begin with our first race. Family District Judge, Ward 302. We have incumbent Sandra Jackson, Desiree Marie Badassa. I'm working on that for a good 10 minutes. All right. We have seats. Candidates, with red right. When you come up and speak, this is your spot, this is your area, they have designated this to be a good spot for you to introduce and to speak to the crowd. Please speak to the crowd, I would love to see your smiling face. They want to hear your answers. Okay? Also, just a reminder, we do talk about our campaign only, we don't talk about our competitors. Audience members, those for you too. We ask a question that is for both candidates, not just one. In the event that you give us, when it's your time to ask a question, we don't want to hear the backstory that's 17 years ago that led up to why we're here. Give us the question. In the event that you are long-winded with your question, I will ask you, what is your question? That's the sign for you to wrap it up, ask your question. Okay? All hearts and minds clear? All right. You shall begin. You begin with Judge Jackson. You take the microphone. You have 2 minutes for your opening.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. I am Judge Sandra Jackson. First, let me thank Molly Belt and the Belt family, and of course the Dallas Examiner for having this wonderful event. I participated in it previously, and I'm glad to be able to do this now. I am the State District Court Judge of 302nd Family Court. I've been on the bench for the last 7.5 years. I've got 30 years in the law business, almost 40 years, really, and 23 years focused 100% on family law. I've been practicing family law that much, and the point is that as the incumbent on the bench, I want to continue the vision that we have for that court. We are working with families to develop and craft solutions in the midst of their crises. A lot of times when people come into our court, they come in the midst of perhaps the most horrible situations. And our goal here is, first of all, to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with them, to work with them to craft and create a solution. They may not always like it, a lot of times they don't, but I can tell you that if we work with it and we're looking after the best interests of children, I have been a prosecutor, I have been a mediator, I am a judge, I have been a defense counsel, I've been a petitioner's counsel, and I've been every aspect of family law, I have been involved with it. I understand what it means to do this business, and we have done it well. We have a very high clearance rate, and we continue to work with families to give them what's best for them, even though it's best for them. And we work it out. We have many, many testimonies that families are supportive. So we're asking you for your vote. We're asking you to allow me to get reelected. This is my 3rd term, and I want to thank you so much in advance. I appreciate you. Have a good day.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you all for taking time out of your evening to be here to listen to these judicial races. A lot of times people don't pay attention to the judicial races, so I'm glad that you all are here today. My name is Desiree Badassa, and I am running for the 302nd Judicial District Court because I have seen this family court system through a variety of lenses, and I understand the deep impact that it has on our everyday people. I first encountered the system as a child. You see, my parents separated when I was 2, so I was that kid going back and forth between 2 households, and I witnessed my dad fighting to make sure that he had consistent visitation with me. Later, I became a special education teacher and a guardian at Light Through CASA, where I advocated for children in the CPS system. For the past 10 years, I have exclusively practiced family law in all aspects: child custody, divorces, CPS, adoptions, terminations, you name it, I have probably done it. And through my work, I have seen how these courts unintentionally, and to be quite honest, sometimes intentionally, favor one parent over the other. How they prioritize one parent, leaving one to feel less important, particularly fathers. I have seen how these courts have families leaving feeling left in the dark. Sometimes they don't have a ruling, not knowing when they're going to see their children again, not knowing what the ruling even means. That is not justice. If I am elected, I plan to make sure that the court is fair, accessible to all, and that it's transparent. We need to rebuild trust in the family court system, and that means taking the time to explain these rulings. Family law is not about politics, it is about the people.
In candidates, because it's only two of you all who will come quick. So, if you're second up, just stay up there because you'll get the next question. Okay? All right. All right, so let's start with the softball question. What motivated you to seek service, to run for this office for family district 4?
So as stated in my opening, I was one of those kids caught in the middle of this custody battle. I've also seen the direct impact that it had on my family members, my brother, my father, my cousins, and as a practicing family law attorney, I've seen the direct impact that it's having on all of our Dallas County families. And rather than waiting around for someone else to step up and make a difference, I decided to step up and make that difference myself.
The reason I'm running for this bench is to continue the vision that the court has. We have a legacy court that helps families. We have CASA, we have Involve, we have community programs that help families to keep their children together. We help each and every family. We help mothers and fathers get housing. We help mothers and fathers get their GED. We help mothers and fathers get their children and have actual involvement. We have a drug court that we help parents who are involved with drugs. We help them get off drugs. We help them do it every single day. The family law is a compassionate place for tender-hearted people to work together, and that's what we've done. We don't sit around, we're there every single day. We don't wait for anybody to make the decisions. It's tough. Let me just tell you. I've been doing this for almost 30 years, and I can tell you how hard it is. But it is the thing that helps communities stay together and keep families together. We love our children. We work for the children. We work for the best interests of the children. I have worked with CASA. I have worked with the DA's office, the public defender. I have been a mediator, and now I'm a family judge. And I do it because this is what's right for the community. We are here to make sure that our families are stable, and stable families mean stable communities. Families need solutions sometimes for problems, and sadly when they come out of their closed door, you get to see what they're doing in the home. But if you work right and do it properly, you get the right information. Yes, we all have background, we all have stories, but we have to be able to and have the ability to help families do what's best and do it effectively. Thank you so much.
All right, so we understand that when families come, it's not an exciting time. Sometimes it's a difficult time for some families. And some families will come to court without legal help. How would you ensure fairness when one parent has a lawyer and the other one does not? How do you do that?
Well, what we do is those who are self-represented litigants or pro se litigants, we allow them to have their say. I listen to them and hear them out and try to guide them to the right issues. I do recommend that if you don't know how to do it, I show you what websites to go to. TexasLawHelp.org has every form you want. We send them to that. We get them to a clinic. We get them to pro bono help. We get them to Dallas Volunteer Attorney Program. We get volunteer lawyers to come in and assist. We give them guidance. I talk with them. And I don't really give them legal advice, but I try to guide them in a process that will get them to the point where they understand what's going on and how they can quickly and easily identify their issues, conversate with the court, conversate with the other side, and we also send them to mediation. We send them to negotiation so they can have their opinions heard without the fear and the stress of being in a litigation, being in a courtroom setting. create an atmosphere so those people who don't have a lawyer can know that they can talk, they can have a conversation, and they will be heard. And when we do that effectively, we have an open system, we have an open court. I'm there every morning at 8:30. We have self-representing docket. We have prove-ups, we do Zoom, we do everything we can to accommodate people who cannot get there easily and make it easy for them. And then we just try to guide them through that process so they can listen and know that we see them, we hear them, and we're working to help them get to the solution that's going to work for them and their family. Self-representing living, we get a lot of those, but they get the results that are necessary and in the best interest of their family. That's why we work so hard, and that's why we do what we do. Family law is there about solutions for families to carve out a solution in the midst of a crisis. That's what we do, and that's how we get it done.
There are a significant amount of individuals who cannot afford an attorney. And so it is not uncommon for you to go into court, one party has an attorney and the other doesn't. There are a lot of resources for pro se litigants that are on texaslawhelp.org. As a court, I'll make sure that my own courtroom's policies and procedures are clearly laid out and on the website in a manner where anyone can understand them, not just lawyers. Now, in the particular courtroom, I think the most important thing is to ensure that everybody is heard. I'm going to be honest, there's going to be a disadvantage if you're in the courtroom without an attorney. The attorney knows the Texas Rules of Civil Procedure, they know the rules of evidence, and a pro se litigant may not. But that doesn't stop them from being able to be heard. They will have the same opportunity to explain their case. They will have the same opportunity to examine the other party. And as a judge, we need to make sure we are listening very carefully and paying complete attention to what is being said. Because at the end of the day, these rulings don't matter about who your attorney is, what you look like, where you come from. What is important is about the facts of the case and what is going on in the home. And as a judge on the bench, I will make sure that I am taking the time to listen. Because I've had family members representing themselves. If a parent is coming in who hasn't had access to their child for months, you don't need an attorney to let a judge know that information. And that would be facts. And it requires a judge to make a decision that is in the best interest of all parties involved. And I will make sure that that happens.
All right, let's talk about those individuals that are often impacted the most in report. Important decisions can shape a child's future stability. Children are also affected by adult conflict that they did not create. So walk us through, how do you keep a child's well-being at the center of a custody decision?
To keep a child's well-being at the center of a custody decision in the court, it's really going to boil down to the facts. Children are smart. We can sit here and say that kids don't hear what's going on in the household, but we all know that they do. And we know that they are being taught in the middle of the custody battle. And it is going to be important for us to make sure that we are listening to the truth, reviewing the evidence, and also paying attention to the court pleadings and the court file before people enter into the courtroom. They are filed with the court. As judges, we need to take the time to read all of them, so at least we have an idea as to what has been going on up until the point of them getting in that courtroom. We need to take a moment to review the exhibits and review the evidence. Sometimes you get pages of text messages that come in. You can't just put them aside. You need to take the time to read them, so that way you have a clear picture as to exactly what it is going on in that household. And then, after having read the facts, you need to apply that accurately to the law. We have a family code. It lays out what factors need to be considered. There's case law that goes into detail about what is considered in the best interest of the child and what is not considered in the best interest of the child. What is material substantial change, what is not. And so the facts need to be applied to the law and the rulings issued. And when those rulings are issued, they need to be explained to the parties so that way they understand how the judge reached that decision and walk away knowing that that ruling was made in the best interest of the child and not for any other reason aside from that.
One of the things you want to keep in mind is about process. Remember that court makes a ruling. There are three different things that happen. There's a trial, there's a ruling, and then there's a final fact and conclusion. There are three different bodies. The Texas track rules apply to the final fact and conclusion of law. The ruling is usually right there from the bench, and you issue that. You don't give your reasoning right there and then you do that when you give the final fact and conclusion of law. And you have to have the standard of proof that's required, whether it's in family law, trial courts, you have preponderance of the evidence, clear and convincing evidence, or combination cases, and you have to deal with it like that. What you want to do for children is always look out for their best interests. The Holly package, which is case law, it talks about the list of things that we can look at for what's best for that child. And depending on the age of the child, because the code does require that children under the age of 10, they're not interviewed. But what I do usually is go ahead and appoint CASA, which is a court advocate for the children, so that they can have an advocate to go out and listen to them or visit them. We have guardian ad litem system, which I appoint a guardian ad litem for them. And then when children are 13 years of age, usually 12 or 13, they can come and sit down and talk to me in my chamber and tell them what their opinion is. And they really do have an opinion about what's going on in their home. I listen to them. I listen to their ideas. I ask them for their tips, their suggestions, and what it is that can help their family get better. Because they also see what's going on behind closed doors. And the thing is that you want to make sure that even though you listen to that child, it's not the child's decision. It's the court's decision. It's the court's responsibility. You balance the law, you balance the equity, you balance the best interest, and you balance the environment that's there so that everybody has an opportunity to be heard, and yet you make a decision that's consistent with the law and the facts and the evidence.
At this time, we'd like to turn it over to the audience to ask a question. If you would, all right, we'll step up to the mic and ask your question.
Listening is a requirement of all judges, and fair proceedings which allow both parents to fully be heard and to get their cases presented. I have been in a courtroom where the judge did not listen. I want to know, and didn't give both sides the opportunity to present their case. I would like to know, if I vote for either one of you, what would you all do to make sure that the parents get both sides heard and they get a chance to present their information?
My hope is that the parents can vote for heard. I don't put you on a time clock necessarily. I'm really there to help you out. What happens a lot of times is the emotion is so intense and so high that you can't really tell the story. But what you really want to try to do is, if you get a chance, organize your thoughts enough where you can tell your whole story. Get your bullets and organize, just like you would do if you're writing, or telling a story or playing. You want to organize yourself well enough so you can be thoughtful about what you want and get your points out. And we'll listen to you. I listen to everybody. I hear all the cases. I don't let anybody else hear. I don't have a visiting judges, nothing. I listen to every single case, and I let and people do go down these little rabbit trails. I go right with them. I'm going to listen to you, but you have to help us by organizing yourself a little bit more so we can hear both sides. You can tell your own story, and then whoever your opponent is, or if they're self-represented, they can tell their own story as well. But it's not about trying to shut you down. You can't really make a big decision unless you can get both sides. And there are two sides to every story. There's your side, there's her side, or his side, and then the facts can tell you what to do as well. So you have all of that, all of those factors come into play. And what you want to do is be able to hear that out so that you can hear and discern really what's really going on, so you can get the kinds of answers and allow both parties to feel a sense of relief. You want people to know that we're going to treat you fairly, we're going to treat you justly, and we're going to treat you with dignity and respect. And we will do that by being able to hear you out. And I'm hoping for you and anyone that they can go ahead and organize themselves well enough that they'll be able to simply say, hey, this is the story I want you to hear. This is what happened. This is why it happened. This is how it happened. And this is the story. I'm more than glad to hear you. Thank you so much.
As an attorney who has been practicing family law in Dallas County for some years now, what I can say is that it is actually common practice for all of the courts to have time limits on particular hearings. For temporary orders, typically have about 30 minutes. For final trial, it depends on how much time is requested at a pretrial setting. So when it comes to those rules and those time limits, they need to, one, be clearly posted on the court's website, so that way everyone is going into court already knowing how much time that they have. And I think in the courtroom itself, there needs to be a timer posted, so that way it's going down and you know how much time is remaining when you're being able to try to tell your story. That is done in other counties like Collin County, as well as some counties around the DFW area. I think it's also important that as a judge, when we are sitting there on the bench, we're not just looking at the next case, reviewing stuff. We are actually taking the time to pay attention to what is being stated. A judge has the ability to hire a court reporter. And there's a lot of technology that court reporters use nowadays, some of which can have the words being transcribed in live time. I intend to have a court reporter that can do that, so that way if I missed it, I can at least read on the screen what was being stated. Yes, it is the responsibility of the litigants to be able to tell their story, but us as judges, it is our responsibility to make sure that we are actively listening and not having already pre-decided our ruling, preparing our ruling, or checking other cases.
No video recording and no taking pictures, please.
As a Dallas native, father's husband, I want to know that I will have access to the court proceedings in your court. I saw this court has conducted this hearing and trials with the court doors locked and black paper in the windows, prohibiting people from exercising their right to observe the court proceedings. How will you ensure that this practice will not continue and the public will observe and hold you accountable to what's going on in the court?
Unfortunately, I can't sit here and say that I also haven't noticed locked doors in the courtroom as a practicing family law attorney. It has been happening, and it should not happen. The courtroom belongs to the people, and therefore it should be open to the people, which is what is required by law. I intend to do that. It's a simple fix. Just unlock the doors to make sure there's no smoke in the windows, not rocket science. I've practiced in a variety of counties in Texas, and I have not experienced that particular issue in any court except one. It needs to change. There has to be transparency. It's family court. It might get heated. There might be some words exchanged by the parties in the hallway. But at the end of the day, as judges, there's a bailiff in the courtroom. There's someone that is there to protect you. I haven't seen doors locked in the criminal court. I haven't seen doors locked anywhere else, and so there's no reason that the door should be locked here. Again, the courtroom belongs to the people. It should be open to the people. I also believe that these hearings should be able to be streamed online. We did it during COVID. It wasn't something that was really done prior to COVID, but we did do it during COVID, and I think that it worked. Some courtrooms still do that, and it is important because it's showing the people that there is some transparency going on in these courts.
So one of the challenges that we have in the tower that I'm in the west tower of George Allen Fourth Ward. It's not very secure. We don't have double doors, we don't have double access, we don't have any conference rooms, and we rotate our deputies in and out. It's always risky. We have plenty of fist fights. I've had people try to stab me. I have been sued. Everything has happened. So what we do, when my deputies go to lunch, they close the door. When they want to go out, they close the door. And when they don't want anybody filming and putting their videos up against the window, they put the screen up. So both of those deputies have now retired. And we're asking for security. We are always asking for security at the courthouse because it's dangerous. We've had people try to get drones in there, guns, knives, and everything else. So it's not about whether or not the court is open. The court is open. The doors are unlocked every morning at 8:45, 8:30, and you're able to get in. But the risk is real. We've already been, every time I go to a training, I take security training. I have over 500 hours of security training because of the risk and the threats that come to judges. I get threatened every single day. I'm under threat right now. I'm standing here looking in this room, and the very people that have threatened me are right here in this room right now. I'm telling you that judges are targets. We are targets. And because of that, we have to protect ourselves. And sometimes you have to go with. And that's okay because you don't want to put your body at risk. But it doesn't mean that the citizens cannot come in and get their cases heard. They can, and they do get hurt. They get hurt every single day. We're there every single day and they get hurt. And that is a part of it. It is open. We are transparent. We never miss. We are there to do the work. We are there because of you. And we are asking you to help us stay there. And that's what the point is, that we have to stay safe as judges, and you have to stay safe as citizens. And we're at, and that's really with the way we do. Thanks so much.
If you're in need of a chair, there are benches upstairs.
No one wants to do exercise on tonight. And by the way,
There's an elevator.
there's an elevator, so. If you are upstairs and you want to ask a question, please come down in the time period of asking questions.
Being married, a mother, a business owner, and a Dallas native, it's important to me that Dallas County family judges who are making life-altering decisions about families and real-life experiences with marriages, relationships, parenting, and balancing all responsibilities that come with those responsibilities and those roles. Can you tell me about how is your role as a wife, a mother, and to help me prepare by making, and how do you make better preparing decisions for Dallas County residents and Dallas County?
I have probably raised more children than I can shake a stick at. I am a grandmother, a nanny, an auntie, a big sister, or anything else you want to think of. And I am that auntie that takes kids everywhere they want to go. I hang out with them, I go with them everywhere, I take them places because they just like hanging out with me, and I like hanging out with them. And the point of that is that children, this is something I learned from my mother, children are people. Little people, I'm a little person, Round's a little person, and now I'm a bigger person, I'm a bigger person. But the point is that I see you, I hear you, I love you, I embrace you, I know who you are, I'm listening to you, who you are, and that is active listening. So to the young lady, I don't know where she went, but what you want to do is you want to be high, you want to be an active listener to children. Every child is a different personality. We want to recognize that personality and make your adjustments to that personality and let that child grow in that personality, because our responsibility as parents is to shoot that child in the direction they're supposed to go.
Thank you.
To your question, I mentioned earlier that I've seen this system through a variety of lenses. Well, I'm also a wife and a mother of two boys, ages 8 and 5. So I'm dealing every day with little ones and, how curious they are developmentally, the 9. I also mentioned that I taught special education at an elementary school. And teaching gave me the opportunity to, 1, learn patience, but 2, also see the effects that the home environment is having on these children in the classroom, both academically and behaviorally. So not only have I dealt with it myself as a child. Not only am I a wife and a mother, but I also taught and advocated for children in the CPS system. And I can take all of those perspectives and bring it to the bench if I am elected.
Yes. One term I heard used here tonight, and I'm concerned about it, is something called unclear rulings. I'm asking for what is the definition or an example of the unclear rulings? What is the impact that has on these cases? And then furthermore, what is the impact when the children are neurodivergent? What is the definition of unclear rulings and the impact?
Yes, so when I say unclear rulings, what I'm talking about is the courts are making decisions. A lot of the time, those rulings are put on a piece of paper and given to the attorney. And the language that's being used in there is legalese. Joint managing conservator. Parents don't know what that means. They think it means that they're about to split everything 50-50. That is so far from the truth. And so when I say unclear rulings, I'm talking about rulings that your regular everyday people don't understand. Also, rulings that are left for open. As an attorney, I've recently had a case where a judge granted makeup time. That's it. Dad has makeup time. Well, the question is how much makeup time, when can that be used, etc. They need to be fleshed out because parents are going home and they don't know the full clear picture about what's going to happen with their children. And yes, you could do a request for findings of fact, conclusion of law if you know what that is. But you can also just have a judge on the bench that tells you what the ruling is and gives you an opportunity to ask questions if it's not clear.
So what happens when, let's talk about, you have a lawyer or a lawyer. They know what that means, the definitions are all in the Texas Family Code. They have practiced law and they understand what joint management conservatorship is. If you have two pro se's, you just talk about custody. You get custody, you don't get custody. You don't use the legalese, you don't use the legal terminology. What we have to stay away from, under the code, there's 5 different bodies of law that govern us as judges. And under the code, you can't start giving legal advice to a litigant. And so you can explain it to them as quickly as you can, as simply as possible, and in terminology that's comprehensible so that they can get it. But you have to do it according to Texas Family Code, Texas Rules of Civil Procedure, Texas Track Rules, Canons of Ethics, Code of Professional Responsibility. All those things are applicable to us, and we have to do it so we can stay under the covering that we have as judges so that we can do what we're required to do and do what the law says. We will continue to do that. Those rulings are pretty simple, and we can simplify them even more. Thank you.
Before we continue with the next question, just so you know, time flies when you're having fun. We understand that everyone has a question, so these will be the last 4 questions. In fairness to all candidates here and the audience, these will be the last 4 questions.
I'm trying to make it fair. My name is Harold. Combined children of the Army, military, is in the community as an activist. I've had the opportunity to sit in and testify. All right, ladies, you've answered your questions very well. For me, the foundation of the judges and the court performance. Okay, yeah, it has great meaning. Right? Ladies, can you tell us, based upon the negative judicial code at the current for the 302nd court, what will you do in having the worst record amongst all of us? What will you do to regain the confidence of the citizens and their attorneys if you're elected?
Thank you.
So I'm the incumbent judge. South Park poll is biased. We know that. Those of us who are, I see the lawyers and the judges in the room, we already know that. The deal about court is going to trial every day, getting those hearings, getting those motions heard, getting those cases mediated, getting the resolutions done, and taking care of the business of the court. And we do that every single day. My clearance rate is 114%. But the poll is not going to show that because they're giving their opinion. They object to what they do. They object to what we say. But I'm telling you, my clearance rate is high. And we get it done because we're there every single day. We go to work every day. We try cases every day. We go to mediation every day. We hear cases. We do what's necessary to get the work done. That's the issue. The work, can you get the work done? And that's what the experience is for. Get the work done. Get in there and get the work done. Thank you so much.
I'm gonna talk a little fast so I can answer this clearly. The Dallas Bar Association poll is done by lawyers who practice in these courtrooms. I don't believe us as lawyers are giving our opinion in a fashion that is biased. The poll addresses whether or not attorneys feel like this judge has adequate knowledge of the law, whether or not rulings are issued in a timely fashion, whether or not there's any impartiality happening, the overall performance of the court. All of those correctly have been ranked either the lowest or the second lowest of all of the family court judges, both districts and associate. And each one of those areas needs to be improved. It is a goal of mine to become board certified. We have approximately one judge or two judges that is currently board certified. We need more than that. Rulings cannot be delayed. 49% of the attorneys in 2025 poll believe that this court is issuing delayed rulings. That is unacceptable. It's not just about getting your court rulings out. You need to do it timely.
Standing, there are seats upstairs. Please make yourself to a seat.
I'm a lifelong Dallas County resident and a mother of two, the grandmother of 11. In allowing children to be effectively deprived of meaningful contact, access to their father, I observe this court say on numerous occasions, it takes a village to raise a child. Do you believe the mother support system is a more important member of a child's village than the father?
Absolutely not. It does take a village to raise a child, which is part of the reason why my family and I relocated to the Dallas area where my husband's from, so that way we can be part of our village. But that doesn't mean it's just the mother's village versus the father's village. It takes an entire village. And the reality is, sometimes these kids don't have a mother or a father raising them, but they have an auntie or a grandmother, and that support system and that village also matters. So again, we need to leave the gender out of it and take a look at the support as a whole, the extended family, what is going on, not whether or not it is the mother or the father. I grew up in San Antonio with where both of my parents lived, and I had a huge support system.
Both parents matter all the time. The fathers matter, they play a critical and important role in children's lives. The mothers matter, they play a critical and important role in children's lives. The balance is in a scenario where you have a divorce action or to the parent-child relationship. What kind of co-parenting can you effectuate? What kind of decision-making can you participate? Can you collaborate? Can you work together as parents to help with your children if you're no longer going to be living together? That's going to be critical, that's important. We hear everybody, we listen to their voices, and we really direct parents in the parenting classes through the Our Family Wizard or App Close to help families to decide and work together, get the counseling. If you can't get along, if you still have hardcore issues that you don't want to resolve and you can't forgive somebody, I'm going to encourage you to work together so you can collaborate and help your children. Because your children need both mother and father.
A judge's basic knowledge of the law regarding children in a divorce is perhaps the most important practical requirement for any Dallas County family judge. I ask, as a father whose children were allowed to be moved 1,000 miles away by this court following my divorce, what are the factors to be considered in the case that provides the factors that are to be considered to make your decision to allow children to leave Dallas County?
We have rules that apply to us. I mentioned to you earlier. We have a code of professional responsibility. We have the canon of ethics. We have the Texas rules. I'm governed by the code of judicial conduct. I'm governed by the Texas Center for the Judiciary. I'm governed by the Texas Commission of the Judiciary and the Texas Ethics Commission. Okay, if you have a pending case in my court, I have an obligation not to make a comment. And I want to tell you so much, thank you so much, but I have an obligation not to make a comment. And I thank you so much for your time.
No. Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right. I know it's been 40 minutes since last time I gave this announcement. Let me be clear. This is not Twitter. This is not Facebook. This is Monday Night Politics, where we come to learn about candidates. Now, in these cases, if anybody else who has a case pending with a judge up here running, I'm sorry. Ask a question that's not pertaining to your case, or else don't ask a question. We're here to learn about the candidates and how they go. I can't speak on your situation. I apologize that it happened, but we're here to learn about the candidates and respect the place that we're in. All hearts and minds clear? All right.
So the question that was asked was about how the factors that are considered when you're talking about whether or not a child should move elsewhere. There is case law that addresses that. One of the main cases is Lindsay v. Lins, and it does list out some factors that should be considered in making that decision. Some of those factors include the distance, taking into consideration extended family, taking into consideration the educational and health opportunities that are in that other city. Also taking into consideration the effect and the impact that it will have when it comes to the visitation and communication that the non-primary parent has with their children. There is also public policy that we are aware of. And Texas public policy is that we encourage continuous visitation with the parents. And so all of those factors need to be considered in making that decision.
One thing that I saw in this court that was concerning to me was, and I hate to say it like this, but it's what I observed the white female attorney falsely accused a black male attorney. She said her client was assaulted by the attorney. It was brought to the court, then later in a deposition, the client admitted to not being assaulted. The client also said she never told anyone.
What is your question now?
My question is, what is the rule for something like this happening, and what do you intend to do to prevent this from happening as a punishment? What do you intend to do to prevent something like this from happening, and what is the punishment? For a client lying on a lawyer, and nothing was done about it.
I don't know if it's 100% clear what the question is, but what I can say is if I'm the judge on the bench, we can't let all that bias and defamation and perjury happen in the court. Now, the reality is, as a practicing family law attorney, some of these parents lie. Like, not everyone is in there being truthful. That's just the reality of life. But if there is concrete facts and it can be proven that there was perjury that was being committed, the Texas Rules of Civil Procedure does allow for some sanctions to be put in place if they're properly requested. I believe if sanctions are requested, they should be put into place. It's going to be very fact specific about what's going on. I would also admonish everyone in the courtroom to, correct themselves or be careful about committing perjury because it is a crime.
We always tell people don't lie. We always tell them to take an oath, follow the law, and do it right. Whether it's a lawyer, whether it's a litigant, or whether it's a witness. That's their decision when they're sitting in that witness chair and they're going to tell the truth. It's a decision of a lawyer if he or she is going to tell the truth and the litigant. So I encourage everybody, be truthful, be honest, be humble, be truthful, be honest. That's the only way we can give you the best decisions. What you get from courts is what you give. You get what you give. If you don't tell the truth, then the court doesn't know that. I can't pick out whether or not you're lying. I'm just listening to the facts. So we encourage you to tell the truth. Thank you so much.
All right. We have come to that point in time where we are giving our 2-minute closing as we hear our candidates formulate their closing. Time flies when we have fun. We appreciate it, and we understand, as you can see, the seriousness of being a judge. Hopefully, you learned something in terms of the temperament, the way that they will carry out their courts. And now we'll turn it over to the candidates for their 2 minutes closing. We'll begin with Judge Jackson.
Okay, well, thank you so much. First of all, again, back to you, Ms. Bell, and to the Delegate Examiner, and all of you who come out. Thank you so kindly for coming out and hearing us out. I am the incumbent judge. Been there 7.5 years, and with 23 and 30 years of experience in practicing law. I practice in every area of this community, and I serve in this community. And I ask you to continue to allow me to keep my bench and to continue to do the work that we've been doing. We are fair, we are just, and we are committed to this community. Our integrity is unquestioned. Our balance is unquestioned. Our approach is unquestioned. It is open, it is fair, it is honest. And I'm asking you for your support. And I want to thank you for allowing me to have this time. I know you've heard a lot today, but I can tell you what, the truth will come out. You always speak truth to power. Well, let's speak truth to power. This is the 302nd court. I am the judge. I am the one called to it. I am the one appointed to it. I am the one who's doing it, and I'm the one who should continue to do it. And I ask you for your support. I thank you for listening to me. If you have any other questions, I'll be available. There's some things I can talk about, some things I can't. But I'm asking you to allow me to continue to do the work that we've done, the lives of children that we have impacted. Over 500 trials, over 500 families, and over thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of commitment to people to get this job done. And get it done rightly and justly, and allow for the children of this community and the husbands and wives of this community to continue to operate in families, because we are here to provide a solution for families in the midst of a crisis. And that's what we do. And it's in their best interest, and we do it every single day. Thank you so much.
I mentioned earlier that family law is about people, not politics. We've heard a lot of questions today, some of which you can tell it's families that have been deeply affected by the family court system. As judges, it's not just about how many cases you can clear out. That might be what the politicians care about, but that's not what the people care about. What the people care about is making sure that these decisions are grounded in the law, that they are fair, that they are done in a timely fashion, and that they are easily understood by the people that have to follow these rules. As a are other counties and other judges who do take the time to explain rulings without having to give you legal advice. Every case will be treated as an individual case in my courtroom because they are individual people that are needing judges to step in and help them get things right. There are children looking for us as the adults to just get it right, not get a case in and out as quick as possible, but to get that case done correctly and based on the law, not your ethnicity, not whether or not you have an attorney, not anything other than the facts and the law. I have the experience to make sure that happens. I have the courtroom experience and I have the real life experience because I have seen it from a variety of lenses. I understand the pain that these fathers have. I understand the struggle that some of these single mothers are facing. And all of those perspectives need to be brought to the courtroom so we can rebuild the trust in the system.
All right, next, without further ado, District Judge Court 191, Elizabeth Ginsburg, Gina Slaughter, Judge.
Well, good evening, friends. My name is Elizabeth Ginsburg, and I'm running for the 191st Civil District Court here in Dallas County. Let me tell you first a little bit about these courts. The civil courts do not hear family law cases. The civil courts hear matters such as personal injury lawsuits. They hear things like contract disputes, real estate disputes, the occasional election dispute. Those are the types of cases that are heard in these courts. These are the types of courts I've been practicing in my entire career. I've been a licensed attorney in Texas for the last 32 years. I am a proud graduate of the University of Texas for both undergraduate and law school. I graduated from law school with honors, and I love practicing law. One of the best things about practicing law, and one of the things that makes me excited to be the next judge of the 191st, is the variety of cases that come before this court. Every day is fresh, every day is new, and I am thrilled and excited about that. Now, we all know our courts are under attack. A little bit about me, and it is previous to this, I ran for the Texas State House in 2024 and 2022. I ran against one of the last Republicans left in Dallas County, and we came up a bit short, but made some real progress. But it gave me a fresh and new way to look at the law. And that's one of the other reasons I am really excited about this race and the opportunity to serve the citizens of Dallas County. It gave me a 360-degree view of the law, and I believe that was one of the things that will help, in addition to my experience of 32 years, to be an excellent judge in this court. And I'm asking for your vote.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm Judge Gina Slaughter, and I have had the honor for the last 19 years of being presiding judge of the 191st. The 191st, as Ms. Ginsburg said, is a civil court. It deals with the things that affect people's lives and livelihoods on a daily basis. It involves money and accountability, things like car accidents and business disputes. And one thing I've learned after all these years is that whether a dispute is $5,000 or $5 million, that case still matters to the parties involved. It doesn't change their concern and what they feel needs to be done. And as a judge, experience is key because there is no training manual. There is no one that teaches you how to be a judge. It's getting out there and just doing it day after day. And I have conducted hundreds of jury trials. and thousands of hearings in the last 19 years. And that's what I bring to this job. That's what I bring to Dallas County is that experience, that concern, and that and the knowledge that everybody has a right to be heard and to be heard fairly and to be heard without bias. And that's so very important in our court system. I went to Texas Tech University. I graduated from SMU. I practiced construction litigation, which is basically business disputes, but with fun things like concrete involved. And I've been a judge for 19 years. I still show up at work every day because I believe in what I do. I believe in the rule of law. I believe that everybody has a right to be heard and to be heard without bias. And I'm still showing up and fighting for the citizens of Dallas County every day.
Just remind you that when you're answering your questions, you'll get stuff to the X, that way you can get the best side of you as this is being recorded. With this, we'll have the next question. And you touched on it a little bit. Confusion can undermine the trust and justice. Some people encounter the court system for the very first time unexpectedly. How do you ensure people understand what is happening in your court or how it will work?
My background is blue collar. Okay, I'm the first person in my family to even get a bachelor's degree. So I understand that question very, very deeply. And the answer is from the time I have somebody on a jury, I try to explain to the jurors when they come in, okay, this is what's happening next. We're going to have plaintiff opening and defense opening, and then they're going to do this and they're going to do this. And then if I do have parties in court that are pro se without counsel, I make the effort of trying to explain to them the same thing. Okay, this is the procedure. This is the law I have to apply. I can't be your lawyer. And I try to explain to them what's going on. I try to explain to them what they can expect. And I try to explain to them what resources they have available. And then once a ruling has been made, I try to explain that ruling to them.
I love this question. My practice right now, I'm a solo practitioner. I previously worked at some really big firms, and I've worked at some much smaller firms. And right now, I'm a solo practitioner, and most of my clients are small businesses. And so, mom and pop businesses, these are not people who have a line item in their budget for what their legal fees are going to be. And there are a lot of them are very fresh and new. And so, I believe I can bring that experience to the bench and help people new to the legal system who aren't really sure what's going on understand it. But one of the big issues here is clear communication with every litigant in the courtroom, whether it be somebody very familiar or somebody who's not that familiar. There is a judge in Collin County who sends out a welcome letter with every single case that's filed in his court. And I got this, and it was refreshing. It said, here's our court staff. Here's where you can find all of our procedures, and here's where you go if you have questions. And you know what? If you're unrepresented, here's a list of resources that might be able to help you. That is a practice that I would like to put in practice in the 191st. And I believe that I'm somebody who understands it and has a plan to get it done.
Thank you. All right. Audience, if you have a question, please make your way to the microphone. If you have a question.
South Dallas Precinct Chair, I do my research, and one of the things I have looked at is the bar polls. Now, for the incumbent, I have seen over the last 4 years, I have seen over the last 3 years that what is the reasoning for the decline in the bar poll scores, and what will you do to ensure that you are going to do that?
These questions for you.
Don't know, the judicial bar polls are published by the Dallas Bar Association every other year, and they evaluate each of the judges on a variety of categories. And we've heard today, some people think they're horribly biased, some people think they're absolutely wonderful. I probably am somebody who falls in the middle. So when I see numbers that are concerning, and I will be very straightforward, the numbers for the 191st mark as 75% needs improvement in timeliness. Timeliness of issuing rulings. And that's of the attorney practice in those courts. But I will tell you, there's objective evidence behind that that also backs up that conclusion. So in this case, I believe that is accurate. And to solve this problem, it is showing up well prepared, ready to make rulings, making those rulings, and communicating them quickly and efficiently to the litigants.
So the first thing is that the Dallas Bar poll is, as many of us would say, is not fair. The Dallas Bar is voluntary. A large percentage of the attorneys who practice in Dallas County are not members of the Dallas Bar. Okay? Second of all, I have had thousands of attorneys over 19 years appear in my court. The last bar poll, I think it was something like 138 people responded. I don't think that's fair. Okay? There's a lot of other issues with it. But those are kind of some of the main things. The other thing is, admittedly, the last couple of years, bar poll came out earlier this year. The last couple of years before that were rough. I was in a car accident. I found out I had some significant problems with my neck, and I went through 9 hours of surgery. And I spent my recuperation almost exactly a year ago today, figuring out what's wrong and how I can fix it and trying to get things back on track after an extended accident.
Ladies, in regards to finding the facts and ruling the law as it relates to pro se litigants and those that represent Judge Prater, do you?
I'm sure that both candidates can. Ask a question, please.
Okay. No, Judge and candidate, as it relates to the pro se litigants, do you articulate in a pro se litigants match to those pro se litigants what the rule of law and the facts when you consider the case? And would you consider that also, ma'am?
I'm not sure how to exactly answer that question because findings of fact or conclusions of law are a very specific legal term for an order that a court enters after something like a bench trial, okay? And so the answer is, in a case where both sides have attorneys, the party that won will submit their proposed findings of facts and conclusions of law. I never take those the way they're submitted. I always add, delete, whatever to make it reflect what I did. To the extent that it is a pro se party, meaning a party without an attorney, I do not expect them to provide those to the court because, to be honest, they don't have the legal expertise to know the format and what needs to be said and what needs to be done. I always draft those myself. And then to the extent you're talking about an actual ruling I had made, for example, in a courtroom, I always, if I have a party that is not a pro se person, will say, this is why I'm doing it. This is the law. There's this case. There is this, and this is why I'm doing it. And here's the
It's an interesting concept because judges communicate through their orders. The written word is how that gets communicated. It's not what you say from the bench. It's not it's not how you looked at somebody or anything like that. It's the written word of the order. And obviously that's something that needs to be written in a way that's understandable to the person receiving it. And also there's legal obligations as well, making sure that the Court of Appeals, if they are ultimately take a look at those, understands the basis for your ruling. It's one of the reasons proceeding in court without an attorney is very difficult. And so, but yeah, I mean, it needs to be clear. I will tell you, I love to write. It's one of my favorite things. Another favorite thing about being a lawyer, it's something I think I'm good at. I think I'm good at communicating clearly what I'm arguing for and the facts that are supporting that. And I believe I would take that also to drafting findings of fact and conclusions of law.
All right, candidates, one question for you I have. Judges are accountable to the people. Judges serve the public, not themselves. How do you measure whether you're serving the community well, or how will you measure that? How will you measure that?
Recently, the Texas legislature passed a law that requires that counties like Dallas, with more than 5 million people, are required to report objective data about how the work's getting done. This includes disposition rates. It includes things like how many jury trials a judge handles, how many visiting judges handle trials out of their court, a whole variety of things. And so that is good data. You can compare yourself against your colleagues and say, am I performing as well as we would expect this group to perform, or am I lacking? That information is publicly available, and I ask all of you, if you want to learn more about this court, you can go to the Office of Court Administration, and you can pull up that data and see it on a month-by-month basis. I think that's really helpful, but I think also the idea, it's a little softer concept. Do people feel like they've been heard? Do people feel like they've had their day in court? They were able to go in there, tell their story, present their evidence, and recognize that they were heard.
So first of all, as to the data, as I said, I was suffering from an injury. I had 9 hours of surgery, and I am all better, and I hit the ground running. But that question is very amorphous, and the answer is, first of all, I completely agree with my opponent that people need to feel like they were heard. And one of the things, for example, I do with pro se litigants, they may come in and they may feel they were wronged, and the law doesn't agree with them, right? And I have to follow the law. But the answer is, I let them come in and tell their story. They can tell me why this happened and why they feel this way and whatever. And at the end of it, I explain to them, this is why this happened. I talk to my jurors. I ask them how the process went. I talk to as many people as I can, and I get as much feedback as I can on what I did right and what I did wrong.
Thank you. All right, time flies when you're having fun. So we're coming now to the point of our 2-minute closing. For our candidates, as you are formulating your closing, please, candidates, remember, I know if your campaign manager director, they're probably shouting, please mention how they can get in touch with you. Okay, so in your closing, please state how people can get in touch with your campaign. And candidates, as you're coming up, please let people know how to get in touch with you.
So thank you. Thank you for your patience and your attention tonight. I truly appreciate it. I've been doing this for 19 years because I was approached with a recurring problem back in the early 2000s, which is people felt that the scales of justice, not in all courts, but in some of the courts, were tipped, depending on the color of your skin, depending on where you choose to worship your God, or depending on who you love. Lady Justice is blindfolded. Lady Justice is blind because everybody has the right to be heard and have their positions considered fairly, no matter who they are, where they're from, where they live, anything. And that's why I first ran back in 2005. I still believe in that today. And I'll tell you, I've made mistakes. You know what? Experience is hard won sometimes. You gotta go out there, you gotta get in the fight. You gotta learn things you did good. You gotta learn things you did bad. And you have to keep progressing. And so experience matters. And like I said, they send us to judge school as what they call baby judge school. It's 1 week and it's administrative. No one teaches you how to manage a docket, how to juggle hundreds of cases with individual and facts and complexities. Nobody teaches you how to handle a jury selection when you have 400 people when the stakes are at their absolute highest. You only learn that through hard-won experience. And that's what I still have to offer, and that's what I'm still offering to the people of Dallas County. I'm learning, I'm growing, I've changed things, I'm working on my docket, things are progressing. So, If you want to get in touch with me, my website is easy. It's judgeslaughter.com. And I'm here every day. I'm still fighting every day in the courts and working through things because I believe in what I do and I have the experience in the past.
Thank you. And thank you all for being here. Democracy is a practice. And this is one of the ways we do it. We educate ourselves about who the candidates are and what we're looking for from those folks when they ultimately go to serve in office. But something else we know about democracy is one of the foundations of democracy are our courts. Our courts are where people interact with the government. They interact and they expect the courts to solve in an efficient way the problems that they're experiencing, perhaps with their neighbors, their colleagues, whoever that might be. They're seeking guidance, and it's frankly one of the keys to a democratic society. And we need to make sure, if you're voting in the Democratic primary, we need to be nominating folks who take that obligation seriously, who recognize that the work has to be done, who recognize that Texans want to be heard in court, and justice delayed is justice denied. So I have the experience to get this done. I've been practicing these courts, like I said, for 32 years. I've talked to so many sitting judges about what are some best practices here. I am energetic and I am ready to go in there and dig in and get the work done. Some of the attorneys may not like that. I'll be very frank with you, because it's going to involve status conferences and it's going to involve what can we do to get this case moving. Now, they need to be able to develop their cases and have it heard in a fair, squared way. And I have understood that if I win this election, I am going to be busy. So I'm asking for your vote. I'm ready for this challenge. Thank you very much. Oh, GinsburgForJudge.com. Also, my husband is in the back with my campaign cards, and there's a QR code there.
Thank you. Let's give it up for our candidates. And moving right along. Next up, we have District Judge Court 194, Demond Des Cooks, Kim Cooks, and Peggy Hopkins. Mr. Cooks, well, please step to the dais for your 2-minute opening.
It'd be difficult to fill in the courtroom. You can actually see what justice is. You can see the concept of it. It's not just the concept. If you see individuals who are being treated with respect, you're seeing justice. If you see caseloads that have been moved effectively, efficiently, then you're seeing justice. If you're seeing rulings that are consistent, then you're seeing justice. A little bit about myself and my background. I've been practicing law for 17 years. I'm a former Navy veteran, and I've been a judge for the last 10 years at the City of Dallas. I'm a criminal defense attorney, I'm a former prosecutor, I'm a girl dad. So all of that has given me is patience, empathy, accountability, and those are the things that you want in a judge. I was also born in Dallas, and I've seen how our environment shapes us before we even get to the criminal justice system. I've seen how drugs can affect us. I've seen how alcohol, incarceration, all before we get into the courtroom. And those are things that we need to take into account as we're ruling over these cases. My focus is clear. I'm firm, but I believe in fair accountability. I also believe in efficient management of our docket. and a consistent rule. So I'll ask you guys to vote for this, because this court should be led by someone who understands the law and the community. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you to the Dallas Examiner for having us here. I'm Judge Kim Cooks. I'm running for the 194th Criminal District Court. A little bit about myself. I did start my legal career as a prosecutor. I started my career in Houston. I practiced criminal law in Harris County and the surrounding counties, and then that, it converted over into family law, and I did criminal as well as family law. Then in 2007, I came to Dallas and did criminal and family law as a criminal defense attorney, so I have that experience. I did tried felony cases, as well as misdemeanor cases. And then I ran for judge. And for 8 of those years, I was the presiding judge of the 255th Family Court, where at that time the auditor had said my court was #1 as far as the budget is concerned. And also as far as efficiency. When the pandemic came, I did not have a backup. I came to work every day. I worked hard. Currently, for the past 2.5 years, I've been primarily in criminal court in different counties, mainly Collin County, Grayson County, Ellis County, and Rockwall County in criminal court, where I came as a visiting judge and taken over the docket for that week, for the weeks or months. And those have been felony criminal cases. I have presided over felony criminal cases. I'm currently in a criminal jury trial where the person is facing 25 to 99 to life in prison. And that's important, that matters, because I will be ready to take over this particular bench. So I'm asking for your support for the 194th Criminal District Court. You need someone with district court experience, and I have 11 years of district court experience. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Judge Peggy Hoffman. I'm the current judge of Dallas County Criminal Court number 9. First of all, I'd like to thank the Dallas County for holding this event. It's important for everyone in the community to get to know who the candidates are. I have been the elected judge of this court since 2007. I'm in my 28th year at the misdemeanor court. And I decided to retire from this bench about a year ago. And after I decided to retire, I was thinking of how could I best continue my service to Dallas County. And once this became an open bench, I decided that this would be the appropriate place for me to continue serving with my felony trial experience in this court. This is a felony court that hears capital murder cases down to state jail felonies. It's a very serious court that affects people's lives. I bring the experience and balanced approach to this court. So before I became the judge of the misdemeanor court, I was a prosecutor in Dallas County, and I was a prosecutor in Brooklyn, New York. I've also been a criminal defense attorney in Dallas. As a prosecutor in Dallas, I specialized in prosecuting felony child abuse cases. I tried numerous jury trials, numerous aggravated sexual assault of a child. In Brooklyn, I was promoted to the homicide bureau where I prosecuted complex homicide cases. I have been a trial attorney in the middle of the courts, in the middle of trying these cases. I'm also board certified in criminal law, which is important because these cases require a judge to follow the law strictly. And because I was qualified to actually take the test to be board certified and pass the test, I will follow the law and I will apply it to the cases that the judge can. And I look forward to answering your questions and for your support for this case.
All right, first question up. We've talked a lot about defendants, plaintiffs, and judges. One area that's often overlooked, I know that many of us, when we get that little card in the mail, we are signing up for it. If you can, you're not one of the ones that says you can't do the jury duty, right? Right, yes, shake hand, yes. Everybody signed up for jury duty. So with this question, then, Jury confusion can affect verdicts. Jury trials require clear leadership. How will you ensure jurors understand their roles and responsibilities in your court?
Jurors are given instructions initially, and after they are in panel, the only person they can ask questions to is the bailiff, and the only person they can talk to is the bailiff. But during those instructions, I'm very clear on how the trial is going to proceed, what's going to happen, what happens if, they make the election to judge or versus jury. So I'm very clear on that. I haven't had an issue with any of the jurors being confused on what the law is, what the jury charge says, or what their instructions are to do.
Before I became a judge, I have tried numerous cases, hundreds of cases. And as a judge, in a very busy misdemeanor court, I have tried hundreds of cases over the last 20 years. If there is a question that the jury has, they can actually write a note, and they'll bring that note to a judge, and as a judge, we'll have to answer the question with the attorneys. And if the law is there any objections, and we'll send it back to the jury. It could be clarifications on the law, it could be clarifications on the factual issues. We cannot talk about the facts, and if they haven't about the facts, then we can have the transcript written and read to them. When a jury is coming to my court, I explain very clearly what they're there for, how the process will proceed. I explain the scheduling, because people have kids, and I am very attuned to being stick to the schedule so people know where to leave. And I explain the communication with the jury.
So I've also talked to juries, either as a criminal defense attorney, a prosecutor, or a judge. One of the first things I like to tell them is, hey, this isn't Judge Mathis, this isn't the people's court. And we get the little laughter, but I found that the best way to prevent miscommunication is to simply speak plainly. No legalese, this is what's going on, this is what's going to happen. And I've never had an issue with someone saying, I still don't understand, because we break it down from the beginning to the end, and then ask questions. So I think it's just a matter of making sure that you speak in a language that everyone understands. And that's how you prevent miscommunication.
Are there any questions from the audience? Any questions from the audience? Come on.
Okay. Over 9 million Texans face lifelong collateral consequences from old criminal records after completing their sentences. These barriers to employment and housing destabilize families and are proven drivers of recidivism, undermining long-term community safety. As a criminal court judge, how will you apply the law and support non-disclosure and record relief policies that remove unnecessary barriers, promote successful reentry, and public safety?
Very serious situation. There are numerous times in our court where someone would come in and they just want to take the quick conviction and serve jail time because they can get out of jail that day. And I'll talk with people about that and explain to them, especially young people coming into the court, that look, if you take the conviction, and that's going to stay on your record. They cannot get off the record. But there's a possibility of deferred probation where if you successfully succeed, you get off probation, then the case can be dismissed. And that's where non-disclosures come in. And I urge them to take that. I explain to them, when you're 30, let's say they're 18 now, when you're 30 and you're trying to get an apartment, you're trying to get a job, and you have a criminal record, the person next to you who doesn't have a criminal record, who's going to get the job? And I explain that to numerous young people on a daily basis to try to keep people from getting into that trap of, oh, I just want to get out of jail really fast, so I'll take the conviction. We just urge them not to do that.
Like most things, it's just about education. It's making sure that you let everyone know their options and the consequences of their options. So you provide that for them before a plea is even taken to see if that is something that they want to do based on the consequences. So just as anything in any other area, you make sure that you communicate and educate. And that will be my goal as the judge of the 194th Criminal Court.
Education of the community is absolutely important. I've been involved in the community since I was in college in 1995, where I had started a tutoring program in West Dallas, and I've been involved in the Dallas community ever since. So it's important to have forums where you educate the people, where you invite them like this, and you can specifically talk about what occurs when you take a plea before they even get to the criminal system. So that's what I plan on doing, having community education.
Thank you. Ethics and integrity is extremely important. I'd like to ask, under what circumstances do you believe a judge should recuse himself from a case? And if a case involves a campaign donor or
Very simple. If it's a case that you know that is a conflict, those really don't tend to be that hidden. You understand this is a family member. You understand this is someone close to you. You understand this is someone that everyone sees you with. You should take it upon yourself to accuse yourself. That's what a professional is. You shouldn't have to be told. You shouldn't have to be asked. You understand what's going on, and you accuse yourself.
As a judge, you voluntarily recuse yourself when you feel you cannot be fair and impartial. When it is someone you have a relationship with or a connection with, that's when you will recuse yourself voluntarily.
Judge should recuse themselves when they do know someone who's a part of the case. It's just something that you should do to be fair. Dallas County is big enough that there's many other judges out there that if you recuse yourself, then the administrative judge can appoint a different judge to hear the case. And I just think that if there's any conflict at all, based on your relationship, that you should not be presiding over that case.
The right to vote is under attack. When you look at the President of the United States and all of his shenanigans have real consequences for our right to vote. Today, the Justice Department ordered all of the registered voters voter roll to Washington, D.C. My question is, does it matter? Does your vote matter? Ms. Good.
Voting absolutely matters. Every vote counts, and it's important to go vote. And especially in this upcoming election, I encourage you, please do early voting. Because at election day, you'll have to go to your specific poll sites, and a lot of people don't know where that is. So please go and early vote. It's February 17th through the 27th. Please just go vote. If it's near your job and there's a polling place, go vote.
Yes, your vote absolutely does matter. It's very important that you go out and vote. Voting has consequences. Elections have consequences, and I think we're facing some of those consequences today. And I think that if we can get everybody in Dallas County to come and vote, and everyone bring a friend to come and vote, then I think we could have different outcomes in these elections.
I love this question so much because my father won his election by one vote. We did a recount and it was still one vote. So whenever I hear that question, that's the answer that I always give. One vote. That's all it takes, and that's all that needs to be shown, that every vote matters.
I need to know with you on a criminal bench, what are you going to pull from in your upbringing and your experience to ensure that you are balancing restorative justice versus punitive justice?
Thank you for that question. So, I'm going to bring from my experience as a prosecutor and defense attorney. I have prosecuted those very serious cases. I've sat with victims' families. I've sat with families of deceased victims. As a defense attorney, I've sat with defendants and their families, people who are facing life in prison. These are very serious consequences. I will bring that experience with me. But to get to the point about restorative justice and for rehabilitation, as a judge, I chose to be a misdemeanor judge because I wanted to help young offenders and first-time offenders leave the criminal justice system. And I did that. In 2008, I launched a specialty court to help people who are charged with prostitution to get off the streets and out of the system. Over 10 years, I worked with the program and helped hundreds of people leave the criminal justice system. I'll bring that balance of understanding the terrible, serious, violent crimes versus the non-violent crimes and how we can help them.
So being from Dallas, as I stated in the opening, I've seen people who had a hard life growing up. And when I see how their life resulted, what the life resulted in, I know they never had a chance in the very beginning. For whatever reason, whatever family issue, they never had a chance. And so when I think about that as they're sitting in front of the bench. Because I know it's just not fair to judge them on the same characteristics as someone who had everything given to them. You don't know these people, the lack of influence, the lack of mentorship. This is what I plan to offer. I plan to offer that mentorship. I plan to offer different occupational opportunities, because once you have a job, you have a purpose. And that's way better than just sitting in a young man's prison.
I bring the balance. I'm actually from the neighborhood. That's why I stay so much in the community. Because, growing up, I didn't see anybody who looked like me, who had any position of power. I didn't see any doctors, I didn't see any lawyers, so it was just a dream, me looking out the window dreaming of what it would look like. So I stay in the community and go to so many of the career affairs so they can see what it looks like and what they can be. And in the criminal justice system, that's important. When you are involved in the community and you learn about the community, then you understand that people have options and they have to make a decision off of those options that they have. And you have to consider restoring them and providing them with resources instead of punishing them. Because every decision that they make, what option did they have left? So I provide the balance. I'm asking for your support, 194th Criminal.
Out of respect for my brother, I'll get straight to my question. Given well-documented racial disparities in arrest and conviction rates, where should a criminal district judge use discretion to prevent unequal outcomes, and where should discretion be limited to ensure equal treatment?
Which question do you want?
What would you do to ensure everyone's treated equally in court?
Well, it starts with the judge. The judge is the leadership of the court. how you see the judge treat people is how you'll see everybody else treat others. And that's how I make sure that there's fairness throughout the court. I make sure I show by an example, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is what's not tolerated. You just become an example, become a leader, and that's what a judge is, and that's what you want in a judge.
These are our last two questions.
To ensure everybody is treated fairly, it's not the judge's court. Like, I've heard people stand up here and say, in my court, when I'm the one in the court. It's your court. You elect the judge, and it's your court. When you serve as a judge, you serve the people. And me serving you is customer service. My whole staff is customer service to you because it's your court. And that's how people are to be treated with dignity. Even if you're a defendant, it doesn't matter what you're charged with. You need to be treated with respect and dignity and have patience. The judge has to have patience. So it's a balance that everybody will be treated equally.
Yes, it's very important for anyone who walks into the courtroom to be treated with respect and dignity. Coming into a criminal courtroom is a very stressful experience. It's stressful for the defendant and their family. It's stressful for the complaining witness and their families. It's stressful for the jurors and the witnesses that come in. And so understanding where everybody is coming from and what has brought that particular person to the courtroom is crucial to treating them with dignity and respect. And I do that every day. And sometimes people ask to be called by a different name, or I follow what people want to be called, so that is one less stress that they have in their environment. Because the cases are so serious, their lives are at risk and at stake, that we need to get rid of some of the other stressors that can cause issues in the courtroom. Let's focus on what the real issues are: the case and treating everyone fairly and justly.
Good afternoon. Good evening. The biggest problem we have yet to touch on tonight is mental health in the judicial system in Dallas County. What is your platform that you stand on regarding mental health in your courtrooms?
Judge Hankins.
With regard to mental health, it takes patience. The people that come before you, you have to listen to what they're saying and listen to make sure that they completely understand. And especially in felony court, you need to know that they completely understand the proceedings, know what's going on. And if they're taking a plea, you have to know that they understand. If there's some type of mental health burden, you can always do a competency on them. And there's mental health services that can be provided. But you have to be keen to know those people and listen and know that maybe something is not right with this person and maybe they don't quite understand it, and have the patience for those people. So that's what I plan to do.
Mental health is a very serious problem, and it's a big problem of why people are actually in jail. Every day people come into the courtroom who have serious mental illness issues. Thankfully, Dallas County has developed programs to address these issues. There were diverse programs starting in the early 2000s to have people who have mental illness issues transferred to those courts, so the judge try those courts and help them get the resources they need to get back on their medications and to become productive members of society again. As part of the Pride Court, our prostitution court that I ran for 10 years, mental illness was a very important part of it. Most of the people who were out on the streets prostituting had substance abuse issues, mental illness issues, and past trauma. And we developed a program in order to address all of those issues. And what we found is once those issues were addressed, the substance abuse issues would tend to fall away. And we would help these people stay on the medication, get the resources and the help that they would need so they could become productive members of society again and lead the criminal justice system. That's the goal.
So one of the things I pride myself on is making sure I treat each defendant as an individual. And I think that's exactly how you approach the mental illness. You look at them as an individual, look at their past, look at their previous criminal history, look at some of their actions, and that's how you determine, maybe I should do something different. It's up to you, it's up to the judge, because again, it's the ultimate decision to realize what is the right path, what is the right solution for that person. That's what makes this job so humbling, is because you're not going to always get the answer right. But you have to make sure that you look and do your best to make sure you're making that right decision and looking at the facts and the actions of that person. And then you'll make decisions, and then you'll make your determination to treat them better.
Good evening. As we all know, that Dallas County has had some wrongful convictions in Dallas County in our judicial system. As a judge, a criminal judge, how would you treat an individual that is we'll say the age of 16, that is recommended that that person be tried as an adult? How would you treat that case?
Judge Howard.
That's a very serious situation. When you have a 16-year-old who the prosecution wants to remove to the district courts and the adult system. So as it is right now, 17-year-olds actually come into our courts. In Texas, if you're 17, you'll be in the adult system. So we see those people every single day. Thankfully, there are some programs in place where the jail treats them differently and keeps them separated from other people, moving them over to the jail by themselves so that they are in a more safe environment. If someone who's 16 and is being brought into the adult system, that needs to be looked at very carefully. I mean, if someone's looking at serious offenses for a long time, you're 16 is going to be about to spend a lot of time incarcerated for something that, if you're convicted of, that's when sometimes compassion and mercy needs to play a part. But you also have to look at the victim side of that as well. So as a judge, you need to bring a balanced experience to learn to handle this case.
So I believe it's very difficult to answer that question in a vacuum. Again, part of being a judge is making sure that you weigh all of the evidence, make sure that you have all of the facts. And so it would be very difficult for me to say, this is how I would handle this without knowing everything that came with it. But I will definitely make sure that I'm using theories. Definitely make sure that I'm looking into it and not just simply making a rash decision based on what's going on.
I would agree, not knowing what the charge is, not knowing what the background is, you can't give a general answer to that. But first, if it's somebody that young, I'm always going to look to see, can they be rehabilitated? What can we do to rehabilitate them? What can we do to try to help them? So that's what I would look at first.
We come to that point where it is time for their 2-minute closing. As they're formulating their 2-minute closing, candidates, please remember to tell the audience your campaign. And we will begin with Judge Desmond Cooks.
Well, thank you guys again for having us. We talk about this court as if it's just being vacant and left alone. But the one thing about the 194 is that it has a program. And it has a program that allows individuals to avoid prison sentences by participating in the program and being rehabilitated, given a shot after a shot, after chance after chance after chance. This program was led by the leader of that court because he has the right perspective. He understands where they're coming from. They can understand him, he can understand them. I also have that same perspective because I'm from that same neighborhood, from that same community. This isn't just a matter of let's put somebody new on the seat because we have an empty seat. What it really is what do we do with this program after 20 years of service, after 20 years of making sure people aren't incarcerated unnecessarily? What happens? What happens in 2026? So we need a replacement. We need someone to fill that void. We need someone with empathy, someone with compassion, someone with fairness, to fill that void, to make sure that we're not sending individuals to prison just on a whim. We give them that opportunity to redeem themselves. We give them that opportunity to get mental health. We give them the opportunity to get jobs, occupations, and you work with them. And I believe that's what I will bring to the court for 194th District. People get in contact with me on Facebook, Des Cooks, and on Instagram, Des Cooks for 194th District. Thank you.
Thank y'all for being here. I'm Judge Kim Cooks. I'm asking for your support for the 194th Criminal District Court. I do have the experience to take over the court immediately. There will be no problem with the transition. And it's important to have someone who has district court experience, who has presided over felony cases, who has tried felony cases, and then who has had that experience in training. And who has had the work ethic for being a district court judge. And I have the proven work ethic for that. I am on all social media platforms, whether it's TikTok, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Instagram. The only one I'm not on is Elon Musk at X. I don't know how to. But all the other ones I am on there is Judge Kim Cooks or Kim Cooks. I ask that you follow me. I ask for your vote. Early voting starts February 17th through the 27th. The election date is March 3rd. Kim Cooks for the 194.
Yeah, thank you all for having us here today, and thank you for being here. One of the questions was about, does your vote matter? And I think the fact that you all are here and realize that your vote does matter and that you're making informed decisions. So I appreciate that you're here and listening to what we have to say. This is a very serious court, and I think experience matters. And I think what I'll ask you to do is actually look at what trial experience people actually have to be in this court. I have tried numerous homicides and aggravated sexual assault cases. I have presided over numerous motions to suppress as a judge. I presided over numerous trials. I've made those difficult decisions that may not have been popular to make. I understand what the law is. I was qualified to take the exam to become board certified, and I passed the test to become board certified in criminal law. When I was a defense attorney, I represented individuals from all kinds of cases. But specifically, I was eligible to be on the first degree felony appeal. And what that means is that I tried a sufficient number of cases to actually be appointed to handle cases for indigent defendants. And I think what's important is to look at the actual experience that people have to bring to this bench. My name is Judge Peggy Hoffman. My website is judgepeggyhoffman.com. And I look forward to continuing my service for Dallas County as the judge of the 194th Judicial District Court.
Let's give all that All right, next up, as we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. We hope we're not a train coming down the direction. All right. 1995, Hector Garza, Etta Mullen. With that, we'll give you your 2-minute opening.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Hector Garza. I am the presiding judge of the 105th Judicial District Court. It's a felony court here in Dallas County. And I'm presiding over cases ranging from lesser controlled substances all the way to capital murder cases. I was first elected in 2016, and then again in 2018, and then again in 2022. And then so I'm up for re-election this year. So, born and raised here in Dallas, grew up in the Oak Cliff area. First in my family graduated high school. My parents migrated here from Mexico, so I didn't actually. I grew up in a community, Spanish community, eventually learned how to speak English in 5th grade. My dad dropped out in the 7th grade when I had elementary school education. So, at one point, I went to the ISD schools, I went to Skyline High School, and eventually wanted to graduate from Duncanville High School. Dallas County was my home, so I didn't want to leave, so I went to UT Arlington, UTA. That's where I went to school. I got a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science. When I asked what I had to do to be a lawyer, because I wanted to help people, they said, you better go to law school. So you gotta get a political science degree. So I did that. Got accepted at SMU. I got into law. And then I practiced criminal defense and practiced prosecution as well. So I got to this point again. I've been to 16.5 years. Not only do I preside over that, but I give my time to Dallas County's adult drug court here in Dallas, and I've been doing that since 2018. What the Burke Court does, it puts individuals first-time felony offenders charged with felony offenses, and it gives them treatment as opposed to sending them away to prison or putting them on probation. These are individuals who have a substance use disorder. We give them counselors, and we give them a case manager, and then we meet every Tuesday. So Tuesdays I'm at the courthouse all day, 3 in the morning for about 8 or 9 o'clock every night.
So, first question is you. So, what's motivating you to run for re-election on 95th?
So, it's kind of one of those things where my beliefs took me to the bench. Growing up, I was one of the ones of the few kids that spoke English. So at a very early age, I was probably like only the 12-year-old at the time that was talking mortgage companies for my parents translating. So next thing you know, I was doing pretty good in school. So some of the kids, they were here, I helped them out with their homework and so forth. And then, I've always wanted to help people. And my thing is like, what do I do? What can I do to help people? At the time, a lot of social issues that are going on now. The law enforcement agencies were going on at the same time. As a young Hispanic kid, I kind of felt that firsthand. So I wanted to be a criminal defense attorney, and that's why I went to law school. Because I wanted to help individuals and hold police accountable for their actions against my friends and then sometimes even family members. So I interned with the district attorney's office.
Thank you. You have all the time you need. All right, justice affects entire communities. Incarceration affects families beyond the defendant. How do you consider broader impacts when sentencing?
I look at everything. I think again, it just goes back to my beliefs that how can I help this person? How can I put our community? How can I make our community better? And the answer is not, we don't make our community better by just sending the person to work. And that's why I volunteer my time with the Burke. I don't have to do it. My job is from 8 to 4:30, and I have to go home and be with my family, my kids. I got a 10-year-old and a 13-year-old. But I don't do that. How can I give back to my community? That's why I do the work, because we want to save those individuals from having felony convictions. We want to give them the drug treatment that they need, or the alcohol treatment that they need, so that they can get those jobs, go to college, have a future, buy that, get a mortgage. A lot of times the graduates, they reach back out to me and they'll say, hey, I finally got a bank account, I finally got a car, my wife got a car, my family's now back together, I've never had more interaction with my children than I do now. My wife's happier, my husband's happier. So that's what motivates me, and that's why I want to seek re-election, because I've been doing this such a long time. I think we've got a lot of work to do to help it.
Thank you. Any questions from the audience? Questions from the audience? Now, open up for questions from the audience.
Thank you. One of my heroes is Willie Velasquez, su vota es su voz, a champion for civil rights. Provide us examples where you have done that in the community.
So I've been involved in a lot of elections, going back, to early 2000s, the hanging Chad Dalmore, and all that stuff. So I've been involved since then. I continue to go speak at high school, speak to college students and even law students, and encourage them to get out and vote, because our vote does matter. I think as Des Woods just said earlier today, his dad won an election and won his vote. So I think it's so important. I take it not only keep the voters that we have and continue to kind of bring them out to come out and vote. I'm also bilingual. I speak Spanish, so I do a lot of stuff in Spanish as well to get that Latino vote, the Hispanic vote to come out as well. So just educating them. So a lot of times it's just education is key, communication is key. Growing up, there was a lot of communication in my neighborhood, and a lot of things could have gone a lot smoother if we had communication and education.
I recount my question from the last time. As a judge, I know there were a bunch of codes that you must follow directly. You know more about that than I do, but I know there are times where you must use discretion at your rulings. How would you use that discretion to adjust the racial disparity tax within the criminal justice system?
So we look at the facts. Like you look at the facts, you look at the individual before you, and it's not just like, oh, this is the type of case you want to criminal, right? This is not the type of case, or this is just the type of case that you're going to get probation no matter what. I've actually had people in my court who are ready to sign up for probation and say, oh, wait a minute. Do you know about Dallas County's divert for adult drugs? And they're like, yeah, it's like, well, in this case, you're going to get drug treatment. Do you want treatment? Do you want to stay off the drugs? They're like, yes, I do. And I was like, okay, so why are you going to take probation if this on your history, criminal history, as opposed to going through this divert program, which is a 13, 18-month program? Why don't you just do this? And you won't have a conviction, you won't have arrest, and you're entitled to an expulsion. So your arrest actually gets wiped off your record. So I had one young lady come through that program. She graduated, she had 3 felony cases, and then now she's a nurse practitioner. All because of
Okay, Judge Garland, I was just told I can't ask you all these questions, so with that, we'll go to a 2-minute closing.
Thank you. Well, again, thank you for having me, Dallas Observer. Thank you for having Eric, Ms. Wilson. Thank you for having me as well. So I've been doing this for a long time, and it's never been about the title. It's never been about anything other. It's not about the money, because my friends in the private practice, I come out and make a lot more money or bilingual, blah, blah, blah. It's never been about that. I grew up, my parents combined were making $20,000 a year. My focus is always on how can I help? I feel like I've helped a lot of people through the Burke Court, even through regular docket, regular court. So I want to continue to do that. I've got a 10-year-old and a 13-year-old. When we talk about the disparity in our Black and brown communities, that's who I think about too. Someone's children, someone's brother, someone's parent, someone's sister, and so forth. So to me, that weighs really heavy on me. And it's not easy. It's not easy. So I wanted to be the one to be at the table and be the one that decides that, because I'm the only one that can make sure on that case that I'm going to look at everything. And I come from the neighborhood. I lost friends to drugs and gangs. I know the damage that drugs and alcohol cause in our communities. So that's kind of the things where I'm looking at. That's what I'm looking at. So as a father, as a husband, as a son, as a nephew, I'm looking at all this. And I'm taking not just, when I'm sentencing somebody, I'm not just taking their offense into consideration. I'm hearing from everybody. And, any judge is going to be, committed to their work, reputation of being at the courthouse every day. It's going to care about the person, the community, and I have a reputation of doing that. And it's fair. And I have a reputation to being fair by applying the law fairly in an efficient manner. And then there's a little extra. That's my definition of what a good judge does. And my little extra is to work to the back of my comment.
And how can you
JudgeHectorGarza.com. Thank you, I appreciate it. You can, if I'm earned your vote, if you have any questions, I'll be around if you want to ask me. Thank you so much.
And last but not least, our final race, District 4, 256, Sandra Street. And Heather Nicole Johnson. Remember, when you step on enter, go to the square, and we'll start momentarily. Acclimated, situated, and just will be giving the cue and permit.
All right, good afternoon. Good evening, rather. Thank you all so much for coming out, and thank you all for sticking around. I know thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. Again, my name is Sandra Street. I am the presiding judge for the 256th District Court right here in Dallas County. This is a court that does family law cases, custody, child support, divorces, name change, anything that has to do with family. What I would like you to know first off of that is I'm not new to this, I'm true to this. What I mean by that, I have 25 years of combined legal and judicial experience. I like to tell people that prior to taking the bench, I had played every single role in family court. Represented the parents, defended the children, did the high-level property cases. So sitting on the bench now, from my perspective, I know what the lawyers ought to be doing. I know how to hold their feet to the fire because I've tried the cases. In the 2.5 years, 3 years since I've been on the bench, I have lowered the caseload from over 3,000 cases, or roughly 3,000 cases, down to roughly about 1,866 cases. How have I done that? Hard work, compassion, fairness, and using my experience to shore up the difference. I see people, I treat people fairly, I treat litigants fairly, and I absolutely believe that everybody deserves their day in court. Again, I am Judge Sandra Street, your presiding judge. I'm asking for your vote. I'm asking that you re-elect me and keep me on this bench. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. My name is Heather Nicole Johnson, and I have been practicing in Dallas County and serving families here for well over 13 years. I come to Dallas by way of Lake Charles, Louisiana. I attended and graduated from LSU, and I also obtained my law degree from Southern University Law Center in Baton Rouge. I've been practicing solely in Texas, and I actually established and opened my law firm here, H. Nicole Law, to serve Dallas families back in 2014. I have handled divorces, custody cases, modifications, enforcement, CPS cases. I've been appointed by the court. You name it, I've done it. But why am I running for judge? Why am I willing to risk and throw away everything that I've built to serve Dallas families? There's 3 reasons. Because we need accessibility, we need fairness, and we need focus. Accessibility, quickly. With respect to our ever-growing Spanish-speaking population, there should not be any court in this county where they cannot walk in and seek help if they do not understand or speak English as their primary language. Secondly, with respect to respect or fairness, let's talk about respect. We've got to get rid of the mean girl energy on the bench. We've got to do better with how we treat our litigants and the attorneys as they walk in the courtroom in each and every case. And lastly, focus. Our focus should be on the people, not politics, not power, not convenience. Power is responsibility. It's not a perk. And I hope that you all remember that. and choose me. I'm number 1 on the ballot for the 256 Family District Court, Heather Nicole Johnson. Thank you.
Just to remind our audience that you'll be able to find tonight's recording on the website tomorrow. So please look for it there. First question. Delays increase costs and stress. Complex cases costs take time. How do you plan to manage lengthy cases, or how do you manage lengthy cases without unnecessary delay? And this person first begins with Johnson.
One of the main reasons why there are a lot of delays in cases, and no one really wants to say this out loud, but there's often a very difficult procedure or process in terms of communicating with the court coordinator, the gatekeeper to the court, the one who's supposed to set the hearings, the one who's supposed to tell you when to appear, what dates are available for a hearing. Those people, although they're not elected, although they're not here doing all the things, when you hire your staff as a judge, you are setting the tone for your cases. The duration, how people are treated, how fast the cases move, it's all staff dependent.
All right, folks, simply put, you have to have a docketing system in place. The state of Texas has mandated that you have pre-trial procedures. When I took this bench, that was one of the first things I put into place. I developed a pre-trial scheduling order. I set cases for trial within 6 months of you having a filing in my court. That's how you manage a docket. I learned these skills from being a prosecutor, where I used to juggle hundreds of cases at a time. Now here in family court, I'm juggling over 1,000 cases at a time. So you must have a pre-trial docketing system in place where you are going to make sure that you are following up with cases, talking to them about how much time they need to have their hearings, and giving them adequate time to have their hearings so that justice can be served.
That's what she's doing. I know it comes quick. I know real quick. All right. Justice should not feel exclusive. Courtrooms should feel accessible. How do you make proceedings understandable, or how will you make proceedings understandable to the everyday person?
One of the first things I developed when I took this bench was to make sure that I had court policies and procedures. You can find those on the court's webpage, which clearly spells out for you when you go to trial what motions are going to be heard, time allotments for trial, and then when we have our actual pre-trial, those are things that we discuss. How much time do you need for your case? What does your case entail? And so having a clear guideline, court policies and procedures in a place where it is readily accessible is how we manage that.
Well, the good news is that accessibility is not just about policies and procedures. Accessibility is about the mechanisms that you have in place. You don't want a court that just functions. You want a court that works, and that works for everybody, regardless of ethnicity, regardless of what language you speak, regardless of your sexual orientation. For the last 3 years, in this court, there has been no Spanish-speaking accommodation for those of our brothers and sisters who do not speak English. So you are a father fighting for custody of your child, or you are a mother fighting for custody of your child, and you can only speak Spanish. If you go to the 256 tomorrow, as it stands right now, you're going to have to bring a friend with you to help translate what's being said, just so you can simply get your case handled. That is not accessibility. That is a hindrance. That is an obstacle. And taxpayers in Dallas deserve more.
All right, now it's time for the question from the audience. You have a question?
Trying to comment here. Trying to comment.
protecting the rights of black fathers in the family court. Because right now, a lot of black fathers are being separated from their children in Dallas County.
Thank you so much for that question. I should note that my practice for the past 13 years, and there are some sitting judges in here who've seen me very, very often. Most of my clients have been fathers, black fathers who are discounted as soon as they walk in the door. You know, unfortunately, it is 2026 and we are still dealing with judges who believe that the mother is automatically the best parent. And that should not be the case. Not in 2026. It's an outdated, lazy stereotype, and we need to get rid of these cookie cutter rulings that put fathers at risk of having unsubstantiated relationships or relationships with their children that are broken.
So as a mother of two girls that I'm raising with my husband who lives in my home with us, I've seen firsthand how the importance of fathers in children's lives. So I don't take that lightly, and I have never, the entire time that I've been on this bench, I've always made it clear to litigants that anybody would be considered for a child as long as it's in the child's best interest. All right. Okay? So a dad can come in, if he matches up with what's in the child's best interest, he can get his child. If it's mom, she matches up with what's in the child's best interest, she can get the child. So again, as a parent, raising children with a father in a home, that's never ever been my attitude. So yes, that outdated attitude just does not apply to Judge Trent. Thank you.
It was kind of touched upon earlier, for Hispanic families, family court can sometimes feel intimidating when they're consistent language support from court staff. How do you think, or what role should a judge play in making sure families aren't feeling confused or not included?
I'm so glad you asked that question. For families, and since we're talking about Hispanic families who don't speak English, Dallas County has given every single court a budget. In that budget, we have the right to hire interpreters, which I do frequently, all the time. The only caveat we have is if you are represented by an attorney, then generally your attorney will provide the interpreter, will bring the interpreter to court. But if you are indigent, representing yourself, all you have to do is let the court know, and then we will provide an attorney for you at your final trial, and also pretty much every time you come to court. Indigent, don't speak the language, you get an interpreter.
Well, unfortunately, it's not only the indigent who need interpreters. Everyone who does not speak English would need assistance. So the question becomes, pre-2021, there was a Hispanic male judge that was sitting in this court and presiding. He had been for at least a term or two before. And while he was not reelected, and the current incumbent was, it's important to note that the resource that he provided in terms of the Spanish-speaking accommodation has not been replaced in 3 years in this court. So it's important that, again, we make this accessibility equal and equitable for everyone. Because it may not be you today, but it could be you tomorrow. So we need to make sure that every person is accommodated and accommodated fairly.
Okay, so as I stated earlier, there are more than 9 million Texans with old criminal records who continue to face permanent collateral consequences long after completing their sentences. These barriers destabilize families, disrupt parent-child relationships, and contribute to intergenerational poverty, particularly for women-led households.
Family courts play a critical role in promoting stability, safety, and family reunification. As a family court judge, how will you apply the law, support non-disclosure and record-limited policies in ways that reduce unnecessary collateral contact?
With respect to the collateral impact that has been prevalent among our Black families, I think that I believe that one of the most important traits or character traits that you can bring to the job as a sitting judge is emotional intelligence. You need to be able to read the room, know the facts of your case, understand those nuances, understand those exceptions. Everyone does not fall into the same category when it comes to needing a modification or needing supervised visitation or needing to pay above or below guideline child support. These are all issues that are on a case-by-case basis. So the ability to be able to tell who's telling the truth is important. Credibility was something that came up in a prior debate here. And it's baffling that a judge would not be able to know the difference.
Okay, so simply put, the standard in family court is what's in the best interest of the child. We're gonna always look at each parent on an individual basis. What are the facts? What are they bringing to the case? Who's gonna be the best conservator for the child? Just because you have a criminal record or a criminal past doesn't automatically mean that you are gonna be excluded from a child being able to live with you. Of course, cause for concern is gonna be if you're a sex offender. That's a big issue. Issues of non-disclosure, again, don't really impact custody in terms of only regarding what's safe for a child, what's in a child's best interest. So I'm always going to be fair. I'm always going to be open-minded. I'm going to apply the law to the facts and also use my discretion based on my experience and just as a human being and in my role as a judge to come up with the best, fairest decision that's in the best interest of the child.
As I mentioned earlier, ethics and integrity is vitally important. And it's pretty much like doing the right thing even when no one is looking. Can you describe a time when doing what was right conflicted with what was popular?
I'll take that on back to when I was a practicing attorney. There was a time when I was a very new attorney where I thought my client was divorced because the judge had signed off on the order. Well, guess what? It turned out that even though the judge had signed the order, it was past the deadline. So my client was not divorced. Nobody knew that, but I did. So I had to call my client and say, hey, guess what? You're not divorced. We're going to have to go back and get this redone. And I was honest with him. We did it. He thanked me, and he later hired me on another case. So it matters.
Do you mind repeating the question? Well, my candidacy. For the last couple of months since I launched this campaign, I've gotten a lot of questions about why are you running for this bench? Why would you challenge another Black woman? Why are you running against an incumbent? Listen, change doesn't play favorites. What we need is what we need. And if you cannot look past familiar faces, if you cannot look past sorority ties, fraternity ties, then you have to ask yourself, do you really want what's in the best interest of Dallas County families, or do you just want more of the establishment status quo? Because that's what you're going to continue to get every 4 years. So the choice is yours. And when I made the decision, I knew it wouldn't be popular. And I'm okay with that. Because after March 3rd, the voters will have spoken. And they will let us know, let everybody know, whether or not the wrong thing is the best thing.
As a judge, I just would like to know, what is your responsibility for hiring your personnel for your court?
Well, being that I have not officially become an employee of Dallas County to completely understand all of the ins and outs of staffing and HR policies and all that good stuff, but what I can tell you is for the past 13 years, my staff at my firm has accommodated everyone. If you didn't speak English, if you were gay, straight, if you were old, if you were young, if you were divorced, if you were single, regardless of your circumstance, we made sure that there was someone on staff to help you for the last 13 years. And if we couldn't do it, we were happy to refer you to someone who could. Because as we all know, things are better when we work together as a community. You can get a lot more accomplished and make a lot more progress. So I would want to carry that legacy into the bench, into my judicial position.
Little known fact, judges are actually paid by the state of Texas. They're not Dallas County employees. Also, or staff, the people that work in our courtrooms, they are Dallas County employees. So while they work in our office and we are their direct supervisors, they're employees of Dallas County. What I've done is when I took the bench, I kept the court reporter who had been there for 13 years, and she's still there today. She's one of the best court reporters in the building, and just loved by everyone. Same thing, I had the opportunity to hire a coordinator, and I chose the person who I believe was the best fit for the job. She had the knowledge, she had the skills, and the experience. Those are the things that I look at. What's going to enhance this court? What's going to be best for this court? And what's going to keep us doing the work that's required?
All right. We have come to that time where it's the 2-minute closing. You all make this job fun. I mean by job, I don't get paid. I try. You all make it fun. The questions that you ask, your participation, this is what it's all about. Informative presentation from our candidates. This is what Monday Night Politics is all about. So as our candidates are formulating their closing, I want to encourage you to go tomorrow to DallasExaminer.com, look at tonight's recording, previous recordings, and look at the upcoming races for Monday Night Politics. We will continue to be here. If you don't know, the auditorium is being renovated. I promise you, the air and Wi-Fi quality is a whole lot better here than this. So they're promised that once it's done, it'll be a place that will be better in terms of the Wi-Fi and the air quality and the overall ambiance. So again, we'll be here for the remaining nights. We have five more nights, Monday nights for Monday Night Politics, and we encourage you to come out 6, and Monday Night Politics, we encourage you to continue to bring out your friends, bring those, encourage the young people to come out and be engaged, encourage the ladies to come out and learn firsthand about these candidates. That's all we hope we want for you for the community. And with that, we'll begin our 2-minute closing.
All right. Folks, at the beginning of this
program, one more, please, somebody, contact your campaign.
At the beginning of this, I laid out my experience, and I told you I'm not new to this, and I'm true to this. And that is still the case. The case for re-election is simply this. I have managed this court well. I have reduced the caseload. I have provided service to litigants. I have heard cases. I have shown up every single day to do the job. Never been gone for 4 months at a time. Have always provided the citizens of Dallas County with consistent service. Because that's what you need from a judge. Without the judge working, there is no justice. There's been a lot of justice going on in 256 District Court. Families have gotten closure in crisis situations because the judge works. The judge shows up and works every single day. I'm asking you to re-elect me so that I can continue the forward momentum of this court to keep the 256 District Court working just for you. Again, thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate you listening. Keep Judge Street. When you go to the ballot box, just check my name. Also, you can find me at judgestreet.com. Thank you all.
Again, as we close out, I want to remind you, experience is important, but how relevant is it if the residents don't feel it? If they're not benefiting from it? If they don't see a change or a difference in how things are run in a courtroom, then it really is immaterial. Whether your resume is a mile long or one paragraph. What matters is how people feel when they walk into your court and when they walk out. What matters is whether or not you are judging people or judging cases. I'm going to say that one more time. It matters whether you're judging people or you're judging cases. And showing up to work every day is the bare minimum. That's what we are paying you to do, right? So it's important that we have someone that is not only going to show up, as the old people say where I'm from in Louisiana, it's not what you do, it's how you do it. So what she or any judge is doing when they show up every single day is what matters to the families in Dallas County. Are they being fair? Do they have access? Is the court focused on their needs? That's the only thing that matters. Again, my name is Heather Nicole Johnson. You can learn more about me and my campaign at resetthebench.com. You can also follow me on Instagram at Johnson for Judge. And you can also grab a copy of Southern Magazine on your way out. I'm featured on the cover this month in January, and you can find out a lot more about my campaign there. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. Well, good night. See you same time next week.